In this video, I'll be teaching a chapter from A Course in Miracles. My name is Kaylee. I'm a clinical hypnotist and student and teacher of A Course in Miracles. I specialize in hypnosis for soul remembrance, remembering that we are one with all that is. If you enjoy today's discussion, this is just a clip, a moment from our live discussion that I have on a bi-monthly basis in my membership, Heaven on Earth Academy. That is not only a space for us to study the premises of A Course in Miracles unity consciousness, but a space where I guide you on a journey of soul remembrance, training your subconscious mind through hypnosis, advanced meditation, and breath work to identify, to remember who you really are. Unity consciousness, one with all that is. I hope to see you inside of our membership, see you on the live calls, see you in the community. Otherwise, enjoy this video, and I'll be posting on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Alrighty. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and find that comfortable position. Resting your eyes to a close, taking an easy inhale all the way in. Exhaling with a sigh, letting it go. Another full breath in, breathing in that expansiveness. On the exhale, letting go of anything that you were doing or got to do, and arriving fully here. And one more just like that, a full deep breath in. And an audible exhale. And for a moment, just noticing any sensations that you can feel in your body. And as you notice, remembering here and now that you are the awareness that is noticing. Maybe there's that quality of frustration that is a felt sense feeling. Maybe there's thoughts or just an energy, any energy that you're noticing. Imagining you could watch it. And this awareness that you're resting in is the same awareness that connects you to all that is. And so expanding your awareness now. Imagining you can become aware of the space around you. The entire room, your entire home. And being the watcher, not dictating, I should feel this way, it should feel good, or it should feel like that, but just allowing what is. In this allowance, we begin to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That space, that soul space, where everything is just all right. Things can be happening, challenges, circumstances, life moving, and we can still sit in this space. Aware of the situations, aware of the feelings, aware of the sensations. But instead of being identified and embodied, as the feeling itself. We begin to identify and embody watching the feeling. And as you begin to identify with this version of you, the real you, it becomes easier and easier to identify the realness in everyone, everything all around you. There is a soul, a lightness, a quality of love in absolutely everything and everyone. It exists all around us, and as we begin to notice it, to perceive it, it only strengthens that identity within ourselves. So I'm beginning to call to mind someone in your life who maybe you've had a hard time forgiving, who maybe you tend to bicker with often, who maybe you find yourself defending against. And as you allow them to come to mind, maybe in a specific situation even comes to mind, a specific argument, a specific moment where you wanted to defend yourself. No, I deserve to be treated like this. That's not okay. This is what actually happened. Whatever that moment was. And I'm beginning to recognize that soul self within you requires no defense. The only thing that requires defense is your ego. That fear-based thought structure that believes it can die and that it is fragile. But the part of you that is connected with all that is needs no defense. And so you can imagine taking down those imaginary walls that you might have placed up. And the miraculous thing that happens is as soon as you are willing to take down your defenses, you can see the other person clearly. You can see that they maybe had their defenses up, attacking you in some capacity, out of the fear that their ego could be destroyed, that they could be destroyed. And as the same way that you see that soul within yourself, beginning to see that soul within the other. They are an innocent child of God, also connected one with all that is. Noticing your souls connected as they are connected with all that is. In this moment, finding it much easier to forgive them for what they did or what they do, for what bothers you. As you can clearly see that the only reason they would act out in that way, that thing, is because it comes from the ego, a fear response. And maybe in this moment there's something that you want to tell this person. Allowing yourself to share that experience with them. And remembering that in choosing to forgive or love this person, you're not just doing it for them, you're mostly doing it for you. In forgiving, in choosing to see the soul within another, you brighten, strengthen, solidify the soul that is within you. And now feeling that soul within you. Maybe it gets bigger, more expansive. Maybe you can rest more deeply into it. One way or another, our soul will lead our lives. We can choose to allow this soul to lead now, or we can wait until we die. Either way, it is inevitable. We can experience the peace of heaven now by resting in this place of the watcher. And it's not that you will never be triggered again or challenges will never arise, but that when they do, you are willing to see the soul, the love, the peace that is underneath everything. Almost as if you're watching a movie instead of being the character in the movie. There is a detachment, one layer of separation from the immediate pain and suffering, because you remember, though you are experiencing it, it is not your ultimate reality. Your ultimate reality is eternal. Feeling in that too, into that eternity. Resting our consciousness here. Remembering that we can return here in any moment. When thoughts are loud, when feelings are loud. We can always be the watcher. And in doing so, we allow this process of transmutation of alchemy to unfold with ease and certainty that it is a part of the natural evolution of consciousness, of relinquishing ego, fear-based identification, and identifying with soul. And taking a slow and easy breath in, easy breath out, and then slowly and gently beginning to come back to this space, blinking your eyes open. Good stuff. Alrighty, that was new for these sessions, but it felt perfect for exactly what it is that we're getting into. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive right in. Today we're going to be talking about the consistency of the kingdom. This is chapter 7 of A Course in Miracles, and I really want to go over two separate pathways here. We're going to be talking about the difference between magic and healing, and then we're also going to be diving into how heaven is entered 2 by 2, which is exactly why I took you on that journey. I think A Course in Miracles is really interesting because it does differentiate between magic and healing. And prior to this, I thought that they were the same thing, that magic and creation and manifestation and all of these things were one and the same. And in reading this, I see that there is a difference. So I'm going to go right into the text, and then, like always, I'll extract it and talk about what it actually means. So, this first chunk says, the dispirited are depressed because they believe that they are literally without the spirit, which is an illusion. You do not put the spirit in them by inspiring them, because that would be magic and therefore would not be real healing. You do, however, recognize the spirit that is already there and thereby reawaken it. This is why the healer is part of the resurrection and the life. The spirit is not asleep in the minds of the sick, but the part of the mind that can perceive it and be glad is. Okay, so right away, getting into the difference between magic and healing. And the way that A Course in Miracles defines reality is that heaven, love, everything that we need is already here. And it's making a differentiation between magic and true healing. And the best way that I can describe this is, magic is like if I were to be like, I can heal you because I have these special powers. I'm uniquely gifted and anointed by God to do this specific thing, and only I can do it because I was the one that was supposed to do it. And then I go to this experience or this person, and then I'm like, heal, and I heal them. And the thing is, like, it can work because we share the mind of God and we have power to heal. But it talks about it's not true healing, because now this person that you healed goes, wow, I was healed by this magical person who I'll never be like because they're magical, and I can't ever be like them because they have this special gift. And so then what happens is this pattern repeats in some capacity. Maybe it's their body, or maybe it's another part of their life, but this turmoil will eventually always return. And it's because we didn't get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is they need to understand and know that they are already healed, that it is within them, that it is here now, which is what this is talking about, is true healing. It says that the dispirited are depressed because they believe that they are literally without spirit, which is an illusion. And a lot of the healing that A Course in Miracles talks about is just remembering that we are spirit. When we begin to really identify with the stories of our life, the challenges that we're moving through, but also the body, we begin to identify with, I'm this kind of sick person, I have this disease, I am this. We begin to get so identified with either the story or the body that we forget who it is that we really are, which is the spirit that emanates, that is the watcher of this experience. And so many people have these miraculous healing journeys, and ultimately that miracle comes from the belief that they could be healed. So however someone says that you're going to be healed, whether it's through a mechanism or a specific protocol, it is just the belief that they can heal. And so this kind of cuts to the chase of okay, if you get to the root of it, it's just that you remember that you are spirit, that you are one with all that is, and in that remembering you allow healing. And then I want to add to another layer on top of this, because we do live in a 3D world. It's not to say Course in Miracles is really clear about this. Don't cut out taking your supplements or taking your vitamins or going to the doctor or doing your physical therapy because you're like, no, I'm just going to identify with spirit. Because if we believe that the physical therapy and the supplements will work, we work on that level. It talks about how Holy Spirit will work exactly with what your belief system is. And so, yeah, it is magic, but ultimately, if we believe in magic, we work at that level. So don't try to, again, like bypass what you believe is actually going to work for you to essentially what you're doing at that point is like using ego of like, no, I'm better than these things. I'm going to believe that I'm spirit and therefore like perpetuate your sickness most likely. What do you believe will work for you? And that is where Holy Spirit is guiding you. But it's like the understanding, the knowing that ultimately the reason that it works is because of that deeper rooted connection with Source, with all that is. And that belief is what causes the healing. So this next section says, healing only strengthens. Magic always tries to weaken. Healing perceives nothing in the healer that everyone else does not share with him. Magic always sees something as special in the healer, which he believes he can offer as a gift to someone who does not have it. He may believe that the gift comes from God to him, but it is quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others do not. I think this is a great thing to like talk about and understand, especially in the spiritual world, because there are so many people who are like, I'm this kind of person and I have this gift. And like, I think a lot of like gurus that we've heard about who do like shady stuff, who are like, you know, I'm just thinking of like all the women out there that were told by some guru that they needed to have sex with him in order to achieve enlightenment or something like to that degree. It's like these people say, I have this thing and you do not, and I can help you get there. And it's like through me, then you can be saved. And this is like really saying, hey, that's never true at all. If a healer is saying that they have something that you do not, be cautious and be aware. And I mean, just looking at what Jesus' whole message was like, hey, I'm just like you. We're the same. I'm literally like here in form demonstrating how you can have the mind of God, but in a human body. And in no way was he, I mean, it's another story what his disciples did after he died, but during his life, from what we know, is like he was never like, worship me, I'm the king and I'm better than all of you. He was like, no, look, this is exactly how you can experience this in your reality, which again points to this like true healing that we can experience. And the reason why this is like included in this chapter of the consistency of the kingdom is there in other religions and in other kind of practices, there's all these like discrepancies of like sometimes God will do this and sometimes, you know, God won't because it's not in God's plan. And this is getting at like everything is so consistent. It's all love all the time. Healing is 100% consistent. Like the idea that miracles happen only sometimes to those who are worthy, or that like a healer can only, I'll say like a magic healer, it only works sometimes. It's like that really points to when someone is using their ego in order to heal versus just allowing the natural process of healing to unfold because it recognizes the consistency of the kingdom, that everything is only love all of the time. And then this last one really points to, again, our perception of reality and the importance of recognizing it. It says, fear and love are equally reciprocal. They make or create, depending on whether the ego or the Holy Spirit begets or inspires them. But they will return to the mind of the thinker, and they will affect his total perception. Okay, again, talking about the consistency of the kingdom here. Fear and love are equally reciprocal. They make or create. So A Course in Miracles talks about how fear makes and love creates. And the difference between making and creating is that making is always futile and going to go away. And creation is forever. It is infinite. And so what that actually looks like in reality is like we can make things happen. Like we can make a business become successful. We can make these things appear in our reality, like tangible objects appear in our reality through money or whatnot. Creation is love itself. Creation is the love that we give and receive, and that way that is infinite. So it says, depending on whether the ego or the Holy Spirit begets or inspires them, but they will return to the mind of the thinker and they will affect his total perception. So what this is getting at here is projection. It's talking about how projection exists in both fear and love. A lot of times when we talk about projection, it's always like, oh, you're projecting on me, and in like the negative aspect. But A Course in Miracles talks about how projection is universal. It is a law, and we are constantly projecting 100% of the time because that is what our mind does. It projects onto reality what we believe to be true. So then it's not a matter of like, don't project. You can't not project. You're going to project. It's what are you going to project? Are you going to project fear or love? Because whatever it is that you project, if you are making negative stories in your head, oh my God, what if this thing happens and they don't like me anymore and this goes like this? And if you are making that story, that's what you're projecting onto reality. That's what you'll see reflect back to you. But more importantly than like the physical things reflecting back to you, that's obviously very important. It's the neural pathways and the quality of your mind that you live in. That's like hell versus heaven. That is what's being talked about, is when you make things, as in like forcing things to happen, making things happen so that your ego can like get off to it, so you can feel accomplished, so that you can feel like you're worthy, so that you can feel like you won the argument. When you make things happen, you are solidifying that ego identification, making it much, much harder to be able to rest in that place that we just rested into during that little drop-in, because you're making strong neural pathways of, this is just who I am, this is just how life is, this is just how those people are, this is just how I need to protect myself and my ego from not getting hurt by those people or those situations anymore. When we project love, when we see that person as the soul that they really are, when we choose to think of the best case scenario or simply just rest in what is, when we rest in the present moment, watching our breath, watching the thoughts, feeling the sensations, we are resting in love, because love is our natural state. So I think it's a lot of times it's easy to think, if I'm going to project love, I have to constantly be, blessing others or thinking quality thoughts or, be like on top of my thoughts at all times. And there's a beautiful middle path here that's like, we can just be, granted, it takes a little practice to not think. So I'm going to leave that here. But we can just be, as in like not have the thinker constantly naming, oh, I'm a little bit thirsty right now, I could use this water, and what's going to happen later, and like we could stop that incessant thinker and just experience reality. And your experience of reality might not even be happy and like, whoa, you could experience pain in your body. But what would it be like if you just felt it and didn't make a story out of it and didn't name it and just noticed it? And in that way, you're entering into that love state because love is who you are. Love is your natural state. And so any way that we can return to our natural state, being, and also like, those happy positive thoughts, those are great too, but to need to incessantly be forcing your thoughts to be positive is a denial of reality, which is that sometimes life's a little bit challenging. Sometimes your body's going to be in a little bit of pain. And though you can make a positive story out of it, you can also just rest in the beingness, accepting what is, allowing it to happen, and in doing so, returning to your natural state. As you do so, you then allow your body to be energized naturally, because it is naturally when we aren't constantly thinking, period, but thinking of negative thought patterns that decrease our energy, that perpetuate the story, that make healing last longer or way harder. When we become the watcher of the experience, it frees up energy so that when you're watching the experience, if it's an emotional experience especially, you're watching it and there's like, you're just noticing that there's this energy within you. And you're not, even though it might not feel good, you're not condemning it as like, oh my God, this is so bad and this means X, Y, and Z. You're just noticing it as energy itself. And this is the alchemical process that allows that energy to be transmuted and redistributed to your body in the ways that it's meant to, whether that is rewiring neurocircuitry, whether that is eliminating old thought patterns, or whether that is sending healing energy to parts of your body that need healing. That is only possible when we are willing to enter into that state of love. Again, remembering that we are constantly projecting. We just get to choose what we project, and whatever we project gets reflected back to us. So it's like being willing to choose that projection intentionally to receive back the life that you actually want to live, which is one filled with the love that you're here to give. Okay, I'm gonna take a little drink of water. My example of being thirsty was actually about me. Okay. Now, kind of returning back to our practice that we started with, I've named the section, Heaven is Entered 2 by 2. And it touches on the idea that the way that we individually experience this eternal peace is through each other. And then collectively, it talks about how we never truly enter into the kingdom until all of us do, because we're all one. And I think when you think of it like that, it's like, oh, well then why wouldn't it be through each other? It's like if it takes the entire unity consciousness to remember itself in order to exist in the kingdom, which essentially is just like in that unconditional love without ego being the leader, then it makes sense that we do this through each other. This section says, when a brother acts insanely, he is offering you an opportunity to bless him. His need is yours. You need the blessing you can offer him. There is no way for you to have it except by giving it. This is the law of God, and it has no exceptions. What you deny, you lack. Not because it is lacking, but because you have denied it in another and therefore are not aware of it in you. Every response you make is determined by what you think you are, and what you want to be is what you think you are. Therefore, what you want to be determines every response you make. Oh my God, this is so good. Okay, I want to just give it a really specific example about this one. a moment come up. I mentioned this one before, but it came up again with another friend, and it's such a perfect example of how this works in reality. I had a friend who got upset with me and told me that I did something that really hurt her, and in my head I was like, oh my god, that's like totally not what happened. Like, I was like, no, that's I saw how she perceived it in this way. That was like totally not what I meant, and I was like really moving with like the best intentions. And initially when she told me that she was hurt, I was hurt that she could think that I would do something in the way that she was accusing me, because it was like so far from what I'm doing. And I think that is like what I just mentioned is a universal experience. Absolutely everyone experiences reality like that in relationships. It's like, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. And that's where arguments usually begin, is like, this person perceives you doing this thing in this way and you don't perceive it in that way. And so you say, no, this is what I meant. But it says right here that when a brother acts insanely, he is offering you an opportunity to bless him. And so in this way, let's say that my friend was acting insanely because she believed that she could be hurt by me. And insanity, according to A Course in Miracles, is just the insane thought that we could be separate from all that is. And in that separation, then we can be hurt by other people and by circumstances in this 3D realm. So it says when a brother acts insanely, it's not to say like she's insane. It's like that maybe she was hurt by an experience. He's offering you an opportunity to bless him. His need is yours. You need the blessing you can offer him. This is what I was getting at earlier, of like, you forgiving that person or showing up for that person is so much more for your own experience of this reality than it is for them. And it's beautiful for them and for your relationship, not denying that at all. But so many people think that when you forgive someone, you're like, I'm doing it for them. Like, yeah, I forgive you. And it's so that they can feel better. But that's denying the true reality of what is happening in this experience. So, like, in that experience, I had an opportunity where I could have defended myself and said, no, this is what I actually meant by that. But I chose to go a different route to, like, honestly experiment. Because I had heard this and I was like, cool, I have an opportunity to try it. Like, let's see what happens. And I just apologized, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I did not mean for that to come out that way. What can I do to repair this? And I just, like, no defense at all, just apology. What can I do to fix it? And I saw something happen that I've, like, never seen before in that kind of situation. It took, a few moments, but ultimately what ended up happening was it just cracked her heart open, and we got to have, like, a really intimate conversation of like what's actually happening. There was like 6 layers deeper that we just like dove into, because it's like, I imagine her ego was like, I can't believe that you could hurt me, and my ego was like, oh my gosh, I want to defend. And because in defenselessness lies my safety, means when I take my defenses down, that means that I am embodying and I am truly identifying as my soul. So let's say I'm like, you know what, like, there's nothing to defend against. I'm just like willing to show up as my soul, as my heart. And as I do that, the other person's ego cannot withstand. It will crumble. It might not be in that moment. It could be later. But what happens is you give them the opportunity to show up as their soul self, which ultimately, as soon as that happens, then they can see, oh, I'm hurt because of this, not this. Because they become the watcher, they sit in the seat of their soul and they go, oh, as their soul, they can see, oh, that's why I'm really hurt right now. I'm scared. And they get to experience seeing what's actually happening, just in the same way, just because you decided to witness the soul within them. Because ultimately, the reason that it was so easy for me to just be like, yeah, I'm sorry, was because I was like, yeah, like, I'm sure that like, I'm positive that the soul within you is burning brightly, and that there's a part of you that's scared right now. So if I just speak to the soul in you, then all of a sudden that pain can begin the process of releasing and alchemizing ultimately into what it is that's actually meant to happen here. This says right here that there's no way for you to have it except by giving it. So in that moment, when you give that love, when you give that certainty, when you see the soul within another person, you accept it within yourself. It says this is the law of God and it has no exceptions. What you deny, you lack. Not because it is lacking, but because you have denied it in another and therefore are not aware of it in you. So in the moment that you defend against someone and you say, no, this is not what I said this, and this is what I meant when I said that, you're denying that soul within you. And not because you weren't right. I think it's so easy to think in these situations, like, if I don't defend myself, if I don't set this boundary, if I don't tell them what they did wrong, then they'll keep doing it. Then they'll keep stepping on me. Who are you to be stepped on? It's like, who is the you that could be stepped on? And that's the ego that's afraid that it could die, or it could be ruined, or it could collapse. Like, the truth of who you are is, like, not worried if someone was, like, a little bit mean. You know, it's, like, probably like, wow, they're having a rough day. And that's, like, that's the vision that's available. It's not like you are letting people walk all over you, because you can't get walked all over if you are identified with this soul self. And it's not to say, like, you could tell someone, like, hey, I don't like when you complain all the time. You could tell them, like, I don't really want to hang out with you if you're going to complain all the time. You could be honest about something like that. And it's just about being okay with whatever their response is. I think that so many people think, you know, if I set this boundary and then they're not okay with it, then this is what it means for me in our relationship. Then I can't be friends with that person, or I can't stand them. And it's, again, just pointing right back to, like, who is the version of you that can be attacked? Like, say what you want to say. Say it with your heart. Say it without attack. Say it with love. Say it with recognizing the soul that is within them that is probably just a little bit scared. And then be willing to accept whatever the outcome is, not conditional. Again, like, a lot of times people apologize. They'll go, okay, I'm sorry, because they want the other person to apologize. And this is like, this is not what this is about. This is for you to live in this freedom. Like, no, like, I call this in my mentorship, I call it the unfuckwithable mentorship. And it's because if you remember who it is that you really are, like, nothing can touch you. No one can really hurt you in the way that the world would have you believe that you're so vulnerable to attack. You need to put boundaries up everywhere. You need to protect your friendships. You need to protect this. Like, there's so much protection. And it's like, what is there to protect? The only thing that could possibly need protection is your ego. This says, your brother is the mirror in which you will see the image of yourself as long as perception lasts. And perception will last until the sonship knows itself as whole. So this is what I was getting at earlier of, like, the sonship, meaning the entire creation of God, of Source, knows itself as whole. Means us being aware of all that is, and all of us coming to that awareness. So it's like essentially getting at, you know, this mirroring that we do for each other, this mirroring and kind of like triggering, it's never going to go away. So it's like you might as well begin to use those experiences where you get triggered to find that eternal peace and, like, become unfuckwithable, because it's never going to go away. And I think it said it in a really cute way, but I think that's like Course being like, hey, it's going to be here for a while, so you might as well get good at it, you know? This section right here says that the gift of life is yours to give because it was given you. You are unaware of your gift because you do not give it. Oh, I really love this one. I'll repeat it one more time. The gift of life is yours to give because it was given you. You are unaware of your gift because you do not give it. And again, it's like, it's really just pointing to the simplicity that our only responsibility here is to give this gift of forgiveness and love. And it's easier for me personally to give this to others. Like when someone does something bad, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay. And I can get over it quickly. But when I do something bad, or whatever, it's so much harder to give this gift of forgiveness. But that's delusional. Even that thought of like, yeah, it's easy for me to give to others but not to myself because we're one. And so in not giving it to myself, I'm not giving it to them. And so then this is saying like, you're unaware of your gift, the gift of life, the gift of eternity, the gift of eternal peace. You're unaware of it just because you don't give it. You don't give that gift of forgiveness. You don't give that gift of being truly present with yourself and someone else, and like truly present with your, like, okay, I just had what are the love languages? Quality time. I really like quality time. And that's like essentially just presence with someone. And we talk about these things in relationships so much. Like if someone's just like scrolling on your phone, how rude. I want to hang out with you. That's why I like took out time in my day to hang out with you. Because they're not present with you. We are not present with ourselves. We are thinking all the time about the past or the future, anywhere but the only moment that ever exists. And that's where this gift is, saying you're unaware of it because you do not give it. You're unaware of this gift because you're not willing to sit with it and be in it. So I want to take this time too to like really start to explore the present moment and what that means to you and how you can return back to it. I have a few gateway drugs to the present moment. One of them is the breath. Just following your breath in and out for the entire inhale and entire exhale, only with the breath. As soon as your mind goes, come back to the breath. You can notice the sensations in your body. Just become aware of what it is that you're feeling, either emotionally or physically. It doesn't really matter. Any sensations will bring you into the body. You can notice the thoughts. I don't use this one as much because like I'll notice the thoughts and I'll start thinking about the thoughts and I'll start thinking about noticing the thoughts. So I really like to like come into my body because it gives me a way to know if I'm thinking or not. When I'm noticing my thoughts, I'm like, am I thinking? Am I not? Is this a thought or am I watching that? But sometimes it works really, really well for people. So I'm just describing my own experience in case you have the same kind of challenges. But this present moment is that place that I was describing earlier where that gift of love and resting in our soul and projecting love out and being able to develop this like subtle awareness of unity consciousness and recognizing the energy that is within ourselves is also within everything else all around us. Like that is something that is a natural byproduct of just being present, which is insane. Like we can literally develop superpowers if we could just stop thinking. And I think that's like, it's such a cliche, and like just be present. It's so cliche and everyone says it, but they're saying it for a reason. It really is the gateway to eternity. And if you think about like this, it's like the only time we can ever change the future is right now. And we're always trying to change the future, right? We're thinking like, I want to make more money, I want this experience to happen, I want to do this and this and this. The only time that we can ever change the future is right now. But we spend right now thinking about the future. and we spend right now thinking about the past, and we spend right now thinking about what could go wrong in the future, or what did go wrong in the past. And I think just simply put, if we made this moment the most important thing that there is in every moment, in this moment, because we don't have every moment, we only have this moment. We made this moment the most important moment, the most important thing that we could possibly do all day is this moment. That's the good stuff. That's where the magic happens. That's where the synchronicities happen. That's where that resting in the peace of all that is, that's where it happens. Isn't it insane? Like, if you think about it, it's insane that we don't make this moment the most important moment, because we always think the next one will be better or the next one will be worse, or the next one I have to do this thing. We're always thinking about the next one, thinking that it could possibly be better, but this is the only one that ever exists. And yet we're not taught even how to make it important. And that's what this entire course is getting at, is like, we can't exist in eternity. We can exist in heaven here now if we can learn how to make this moment the only one, the most important one. And again, this doesn't mean like you'd never plan. You could use this moment to plan. You can use this moment for anything, but can you be all in this moment, not in this moment kind of half-assedly, like, I don't really want to be here right now, but like I have to do this thing so that maybe that thing later will be better. But what if this moment was the only moment that ever existed? How deeply would you be into it? Would you feel the sensations in your body? Would you feel your breath moving throughout you? And just recognizing that is actually our superpower, and how we raise consciousness, how we choose love. It can only happen in this moment. This last one says, "But see the love of God in you, and you will see it everywhere, because it is everywhere. See his abundance in everyone, and you will know that you are in him with them. They are a part of you as you are a part of God. The peace of God is understanding this. There is only one way out of this world's thinking, just as there is only one way into it. Understand totally by understanding totality." That's a cool line. See the love of God in you, and you will see it everywhere, because it is everywhere. I really like that too. It just is everywhere. And when we choose to see it, when we choose to be in it. Also, I like to think of, God in this is defined as God, obviously, and I think that there can be some preconceived imagery or ideas of what God is as like form, and in recognizing God as just the infinite, as just unconditional love, as just being, then it becomes, but feel that being in you, and you will experience that being everywhere, because it is everywhere. See this abundance in everyone, and you will know that you are in him with them. They are a part of you as you are a part of God. The peace of being is just understanding this, that there is only one way out of this world's thinking, just as there was only one way into it. The one way out of it is understanding totally by understanding totality, understanding the oneness, understanding this consciousness, this beingness. That is understanding totally by understanding totality. We can understand that we are totally unconditionally loved by understanding totality. Alrighty, that's all I have for today. I hope you take from this, just be present and find your juice of like what your pathway to presence is, because ultimately, like, it does take a pathway. So what is your pathway to presence? And just be willing to go there, recognizing that when you rest in that place of peace, of love, then you are creating that perpetual reality, not only for yourself, but for the collective.
and then you're going to experience it directly back too. It's like it's G code.